Open your mind.
Hey out there, this is Buzz with TheSurvivalBuzz. So you have to admit at this point, no matter which side of the aisle you're on, whether you're left-leaning or right-leaning, that there's some major significant changes going on in the world right now. And depending on which side you're on, you may or may not have voted for it. And I've talked extensively on this channel about how I really have no faith in the political system. And I mean, I'm sticking behind that, honestly. But man, did you guys see the CPAC speech by the president of El Salvador? How do we get that guy over here on our team is what I want to know. If you haven't seen that speech, you really need to go online and find it. It's not hard to find, and watch it. It's 20 or so minutes long, I want to say. Pretty amazing stuff. Either the guy is the greatest actor we've seen so far in this political system, or he's sincere. But regardless whether you've seen it or not, he goes into detail and talks about how, you know, El Salvador was at one point very similar to the United States in that of they had freedoms and stuff like we do. And then the powers that be, the globalists, basically came in and ruined their country. And once they took over, it took them, I believe it was over 50 years to get back to where they're at now, free from all of that. And he talked about how everybody in his country now is on board and understands how the global elites and the world agenda is not for them and it's not there to help them. You know, people like George Soros, they're not your friend. Regardless of what they say, they're not your friend. And frankly, some of the speeches these people give, I don't see how you would even think they're your friend, honestly. But everybody just goes along with what they're told. But I think, honestly, at this point, even the left is starting to see through some of the facade, possibly, I hope. You know, especially if you're in one of these big cities where you're being flooded by illegals and maybe some of the benefits and perks that you're used to having are being taken from you because of it. Maybe that's a little bit of the wake-up call you possibly needed. But yeah, this president of El Salvador went on to talk about that we weren't too far gone. He used the whole frog in the boiling water analogy, and that he thought, you know, our water wasn't boiling yet and we weren't too far along to not jump out of the water at this point. But he did mention that in order to do that, no matter who the president is, no matter who we put in power at the end of this year, they've got some big shoes to fill. And if they're legit, like a lot of you I know, big Trump fans and want nothing more than him to be voted in and change the country, if that's true and he gets voted in, or whoever it may be, and they stand for change, this president pointed out that they've got a lot of work to do. They've got to, from the top to the bottom, change things, you know, get rid of some of these, you know, crooked politicians, some of these crooked attorneys and judges and such. And he's right. We need total reform. We need to change everything all the way around. And that's the only way it's going to happen. And then he also went on to say that the worst part was that's not where it ended. The worst part was that our financial system is crumbling as well, as many of you know. And all of this stuff is set up by design, and it's going along beautifully for them. But I'm starting to see a little resistance here and there, and I hope that continues. But yes, along with getting a true leader that is willing to walk us across the battleground and get us out of this globalist nightmare, we've got to change our whole financial system as well. This bubble that just keeps growing, that's inevitably going to pop. We've got to fix this. We've got to quit creating debt. And I mean, most of you know, if you pay any attention at all, there's no end in sight to it. There's no plans for a budget. There's no plans to try even remotely fix anything. And it's going to continue until we change that, till we get rid of the Federal Reserve, get rid of creating more debt. You know, the chains are going to be there. We're always going to be enslaved by them. So yeah, whoever becomes in power has got some huge shoes to fill, and they're going to meet resistance every bit of the way by these globalists. These elite people will not stand for it. And it's going to take people in high power and people like you and me standing up for what is right, or they really don't care at all. And like I said, I want nothing more to believe Trump or whoever could come along and help us out and save this country. I just don't know. I'd like to see it. So, God bless y'all. I'll catch you on the flip side. Later.